Good morning, everyone. How are you? I will get us started in just a few seconds. I don't want to start early. We're 2 minutes before start time. I do want to let everybody know that I will be taking a photo of the Zoom login. So make sure the name that is on your profile is the actual name that you want me to record as in attendance. So for example, if my name on my box that says Robin McGehee is not what's on the roster for the class, then I definitely want to make sure that I'm correcting that so I can, get attendance. So Evan, I see your name. If you could just put your last name on there, that would be awesome. Just so I can make sure I get you logged in. And then everyone that's here, you do not have to have your video camera on the entire time, but I would like for you to have it on at the very beginning of the meeting, just so I can see who's in the class. Sometimes I've had students that'll turn it on and then there's just a blank chair sitting there and they're not even present. So I don't want that to occur. So you do have to have your video on in the very beginning. And I'll tell you when you can turn it off once I start talking about some of the elements of the class that, you won't have to, I don't need to see you. I'm going to share my screen. So before we get started, is there any questions to start off that you definitely want me to answer? You can post those in the chat room. If you want to ask those out loud, you can raise your hand, just go to reactions. And there's a little knob there that says raise hand. You'll see that in my little box, my hand is raised. And then once your question is answered, like let's just say I hit your question before you ask it, you just hit lower hand and then the hand goes away. So if there's something that you definitely want me to answer, put it in the chat room. If you want to say it out loud, then you can just raise your hand and then lower it. I see some familiar faces, so it's good to see you guys. Thanks for taking another class. And I hope that if you have any questions, you'll always reach out to me. I give you all my contact information, my email, my cell phone. You can text me anytime. But today you'll get all your questions answered and then we'll go from there. Okay. So let's just wait just a few more minutes. I'll probably start right at 9:13. Let's give 1.5, 2 minutes. Any questions before I get started? Nope. Okay, perfect. And I am recording this and I will post it to the class. So if there's something I go over and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up, I don't really know what she's talking about, I will post that to the announcement that'll go up later today or tomorrow morning. And then if you still have questions, then just message me and we can meet up on Zoom and I'll help you figure out whatever the part is that you didn't get. Okay. So once again, if you just came in, you do have to have your Zoom video on for the very beginning. I will tell you when you can turn it off, but I just need it on for the very beginning just so I can see and get to know the class. I'm going to minimize my chat just so that's out of the way. And I'm going to take a picture of this just so I have it. Okay, perfect. The last thing that I want to make sure that I say before I get started is that there is a student information sheet that this class and another one of my classes has to do. The classes that are primarily online. If you were meeting with me in the classroom, I would have you do that and turn it in. But you will have to turn that in by the end of this week, which will be Sunday the 23rd, and it'll come out with the announcement. So make sure that you respond to the announcement and do that student information sheet in the assignments by Sunday night. And the only reason for that is they make us do a census by Monday to say who actually, got engaged in the class and who didn't. And if you haven't gotten engaged with either Canvas or that student information sheet or coming here on Zoom, they want me to drop you. So just make sure that you just do that student information sheet so I know that you're engaged, especially if you haven't done the student introduction yet. Okay. So one more time, I'm going to take a shot of this. So let me do this real quick. Perfect. And I'll do it one more time before we leave the class. I'll take a picture. So first off, again, Julia and Eric, if you can turn on your video screen, I would greatly appreciate it, just so everyone I can see live in the classroom. My name is Robin McGehee. I do go by Robin. If you want to call me Miss McGehee or Miss Robin because you were raised in the South or a military background, totally fine. I probably won't know that you're talking to me, but I, like to make it a really comfortable environment. We are talking about relationships. I want you to feel very like a community in here. I'm not on a teacher trip or some type of power trip where I have to feel like you call me, Miss McGehee or professor or whatever. It's really whatever makes you feel most comfortable. And I go by Robin. When you turn in your student information sheet, if there is a name that you prefer going by other than the name that you were given, you can write that in your student information sheet. And then when you turn in your papers, just make sure that anything that you're turning in or whatever, you're signing it in that. So if you write me an email, sign it with that name, even though you might have a different name that's listed on your Canvas profile. You can change gender pronouns on the Canvas, which is a cool feature that's progressive. So I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and you have a community where you feel safe. This is a class that looks at relationships. This is not about giving speeches. You will have one presentation that you will do in the class, but it's going to obviously be virtual. So it's not something where you're going to write a speech and deliver a speech, etc. So if you've never had a speech class before and you're fearful of that, then that might be why you signed up for Com4. If you have already taken a public speaking class, then this class is going to be totally different from this. This is more like sociology, psychology, just looking at human communication, how we get together in relationships, how we manage those relationships, and then kind of what happens if we either stay together long term or the conflict that terminates us, and how to manage all of that in between. So Austin, you had your video on. I was going to take a quick picture to show that everybody was here. So turn the video on just one more time. I got you. Okay, perfect. So I will tell you when you can turn your video off. And it'll be in just a few minutes. Don't worry. I know everybody's worried about bedhead or where you're sitting or whatever. But I want to make sure that you kind of know what's going on before we get into that. Now, the student information sheet that I was just talking about will be in the assignments tab by tomorrow. So when you get your announcement from me tomorrow, you will see that announcement with the link to that student information sheet. So just make sure that you're looking for that announcement. And my goal is every week to send out only one. I try to make it not confusing at all. So every week on Monday, you should get a message, even on Labor Day. My goal is to send you a message, and then that tells you what's due for the week. And then there's no guesswork. You're not freaking out all week, like, what do I need to do, etc. So like how I sent the email to you on Monday, this is the syllabus, your Canvas is going to be live soon. That's how I will communicate with you moving forward. It'll only be through Canvas. So if there's 18 weeks, then my goal is to have 18 weekly announcements or updates. So this week it'll say at Speech Advice weekly update number 1. Next week is going to be what? Number 2. And then by the end of the semester, it's going to be weekly update number 18. And what do you think that update's going to be about? Let me just have someone tell me what you think that's going to be about. You can put it in the chat. You can just say it out loud. Finals, exactly. Way to go, Luke, student of the day. So week 18 is going to be an announcement that says, this is where you take the final. Here's some study tips, blah, 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 blah. So every single week, there will be a weekly update. Unless I need to send another one, there will be more than 18. But more than likely, I will try to just keep us to those 18. Now, that weekly update is going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and it's all going to be found in the COS portal that is online. What I want you to know from now on is that this class meets every Thursday at 9:10 to 10:25. We will never go till 10:25. We'll usually go till probably 10 o'clock, and then you'll be free to go. Now, let's say that you can't be there from 9:10 to 10:25 or 9:10 to 10. You can miss this class. It's not mandatory that you're in this Zoom meetup. But the reason that I wanted you all here today is so you kind of got the workings of the class. And I want to encourage you to come to those Thursday meetups, mainly because if you're getting lost or something doesn't make sense, the tests are going to be harder if you haven't come to these check-ins. Now, every Thursday from 9:10 to 10, I'm going to record these. So even if you can't be here, I'm going to upload that Zoom meetup. So you'll just have to watch it Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday before your assignments are due by midnight Sunday night. So if you can't be there Thursday, don't worry about texting me. Don't worry about messaging me. Just make sure that you're staying up to date and connected to Zoom updates that are coming through the announcements if you're not able to be at the live Zoom meetup. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay, perfect. So the other thing that I want to say is that based on our meeting schedule, we don't have any physical in-person meetings, but I am on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Wednesday, I'm at the Hanford campus, and on Wednesdays, I have a live meetup in the classroom. If you ever decide that you need office hour time for your assignments or tests, or you just need some support, whatever, as long as you don't have COVID symptoms, I'm more than willing to meet up with you wherever you are. Okay, so just message me, say, hey, I'm going to be on campus. You know, can we just have coffee or meet up and just talk about this assignment? I can't figure out how to do it, or I need some ideas on what to write about. I will always either call you, message you, or meet with you, whatever works best for you. Okay, so now let's move into the share screen. You're welcome to leave your video on if you want, or you can turn it to blank screen, totally up to you, but you definitely want to be looking at your computer because I'm about to share what you want to be focused on and looking at. Okay, any last questions before I go into that world? I'll take one more picture of this. Nope. Okay, perfect. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to hit the chat. So I'm going to really quickly go into how you get to this portal. And if you have questions, I can't really see all of you anymore. I just see like a list of people on the side. So just know that I can't see you if you're raising your hand. So you either need to be chatting in the chat box and then I'll see it pop up, or you need to raise your hand and your face will come up first in my preview over there. So if you've never been on Canvas before, just go to the cos.edu website, and that is right. Let me just do that really quickly so we can all be on the same page right here. If I go to the cos.edu website, over here, I see My Giant, which is that that orange button that's right there. Can everybody see that? Everybody see my screen? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to click on that orange button, and then I'm going to go to this button, which is Canvas. Now, if I click on that Canvas button, it's going to go into My Canvas, which is going to look a little bit different than yours because I'm the teacher and I have different classes and different messages that come towards, you know, my Canvas. So for example, if I go over here to courses, these are all the ones that I'm teaching, have taught, or going to teach in the future. For you, you're going to have the ones that you've either taken or the ones that you're enrolled in right now. The reason that it's very important for you to know about this courses link is if at any time you do not see this CRN, that 12185 listed in your courses, then that means you've been dropped from the class. So if you can't get into Canvas, you need to let me know immediately that you don't see the class listed and that you're having trouble, you know, kind of checking in and doing the assignments. Because what's happened is either you didn't add correctly or you have been dropped by accident if you're planning on staying in the class. So you just click on this 12185. If that's your class, you know, obviously if you were in 12194, you click on that one. And this is the portal that you will see. Now I'm going to put it in student view so you can see what it looks like for your platform. This view shows you kind of what is on the homepage. The announcement that I sent out this morning saying, here's your Zoom link. This is where you meet with me. I won't always send that link out. It is always in your syllabus. I recommend that you take a photo of it or you save it to your browser, like your website today. Just kind of save that link. It kind of shows you how to get in. I will always put it in the announcement of my weekly update. So for example, next week when I do at Speech Advice week update number 2, I'll say on Thursday, I'm having a Zoom meetup. Here's the link. We're meeting from 9:10 to whenever we're done. Uh-oh, can you see me? It says my internet was unstable. Everybody good? Okay, cool, perfect. If something happens, tell me. So based on that, that is going to be where you're going to get all your most recent updates and information. And that announcement is going to give you what the assignments are due for the week. So for this week, you haven't seen that because I wanted you to just focus on trying to make sense of these modules and these assignments. That is, in my opinion, the beef of this class, like the main element of what the meal is for how we get through this semester. If you click on this modules that's right there, everything that's in this week 1 module, you should be reading over every single thing that's in there. And you might be saying, oh my God, Robin, that's a lot of stuff for me to read in 1 week. But if you click on it, you'll see that it's not a whole lot of information. So for example, if I just go to communication, all that is telling you how to communicate with me. It's not like a big, long paper that you're having to read. It's just little information to say, here's my phone number, here's my email, message me on Canvas. That's the best way to get in touch with me. So all of those pages are going to give you integral information to kind of decide how you feel about the class and whether or not you want to stay enrolled. What I would say is that you go through all of this module starting at this link right here. Go through your syllabus, read about me, the instructor, look at the book that's available that you should be purchasing. It's not required, but I do use it. So I look at it as like a supplement. If you were making a recipe in your kitchen, having that cookbook is always a really good thing to have, even if you've made it before. Sometimes you don't want to miss some of the ingredients. That's the reason that it's important to get that book. You can probably find it used on eBay, but they do have a book policy right now at COS where you can get free text. So I would suggest going to the bookstore, tell them that you need the book. It's actually a little code that you get so you can look at the book online, and then you're just going to read it online. You're not even going to have a hard copy. It just gives you a code whenever you open that little plastic container. Now, what I would also say is that if you can't get the book, you can still make an A in this class. So don't feel like if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to pass. But it gives you information on how to find that book. Participation, I will do some activities where if you're in the live virtual meetups on Thursday, I'll give some student participation points on those days. I may not make those available in your, just if you're in the portal. So for example, if you're like, I'm going to run this like an online class where I don't have to be there, I may not have that assignment available to you to just do through Canvas. So you may only get those participation points if you show up for that live meetup. But if you don't show up, I give enough extra credit over the course of the semester. As long as you do everything, you can still make an A in the class. So just because you miss some participation points doesn't mean that you can't make an A. What I want you to do is try to figure out what works best for your schedule and be successful in this class. And let me know how to help you do that. You actually have 1,000 points that are available and 35 extra credit points over the course of the semester that are not even in the syllabus. So those are extra things that I give to how to help people that don't do well on tests, maybe miss an assignment because I don't have makeups. That can help them still pass even though they might have missed something. All right, I'm going to pause right there. Any questions? No? Okay, perfect. So as you can see, all of these links are just support. I totally recommend that you put the app on your phone. If you click on this link, it'll give you the link to get it for your iPhone or for your Android. I highly recommend. I am always on my phone and I get notifications constantly when a student turns in something, if they have a question. So if you're using your phone a lot, that's a great way to be engaged in the class and making sure that you're not missing anything. You don't have to do that, but if you want a quick way to know that you're still connected, that's a really good thing to do. Now, the only thing that is due by the end of this week is this week 1 introduction, and you'll see there's points connected to it. This has to be turned in by Thursday night at midnight. That's just an introduction of yourself to the class. I give you some leading questions that kind of help you figure out what to write. And then by Friday at midnight, you have to comment on 2 other people at least in the class. Hopefully people that haven't had comments before. So if you comment on more than 2 people, awesome. But if you want to get the full credit, you've got to put your introduction up and comment on 2 other people before the end of the week, Friday night at midnight. Your student introduction will be added to this portal, but it will be done when I put up the announcement, and then that'll be due by Sunday night at midnight. And that student introduction is just what you're writing to me. It's not something that other students are going to see. It's more your personal information and thoughts about the class and what you need to get out of it. Now, always, let's just say that you're really busy and you're like, I can't focus on reading all that stuff right now. I'm going to focus on that this weekend, but I want to know, what do I need to turn in as quickly as possible. Always just go to the assignments tab. You're going to see multiple assignments listed, but you know that we're in week 1. If you click on that one, then that's the one that you need to do. Now you'll notice, let's just say that you don't know that we're in week 1. If you click on one that it's not the week, you're not going to be able to see anything because I haven't unlocked it yet. So only the things that'll show you things that have to be turned in by a certain day in that week that you're having to turn it in. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Thumbs up, or you got it? Make sure that someone says yes. Somebody nod your head. Got that? Make sense? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I need some nonverbals, people. We're in interpersonal. So you got to communicate with me. Now, based on that, if I go to this modules, I know that there's a lot of links listed here. So that can seem kind of, it's like, oh my Lord, there's a lot to read. But what I want to show you is this. If you go to out of the student view and you look at next week, week 2, there's only 3 things that are listed here. So please know that every week is not going to be this long list of module information. That really is just what's due for this week. Okay. Now, what I want to also do is go over our syllabus. And if you haven't clicked on the syllabus yet, you definitely should. This is all the information that tells you kind of how the class works. We're going to go over it really quickly. But before we do that, I really want to talk about why this syllabus is so important. The reason that this meetup is important is I like to look at this as our pre-nut meeting. And I say this in every class I ever teach. And because, I usually say J-Lo and Beyonce, well, let's just go with Ben Affleck and, Beyonce and Jay-Z is who I usually say. Let's go with J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Okay, if J-Lo and Ben Affleck are really going to buy that $85 million home in LA that they're looking at, which is God crazy because, who has that kind of money? But let's just say that they are. Before they do that, they should be having a pre-nut meeting. Hopefully before they get married, should they do that, they should be having a pre-nut meeting and saying, okay, hey, look, if we get married, this is what I'm coming to the table with. You're saying to me, hey, this is what I'm coming to the table with. And we've got to agree how this relationship's going to work. Me as the teacher, you as a student. My syllabus is my prenup. And I'm saying, hey, if you're going to be in this class, this is how you contact me. This is how we meet on Zoom. Here's the assignments that are due. There should be no guesswork. And because I'm giving it to you in writing, let's say that I say, hey, I'm not going to have test 1. but I'm also not going to give you the points for it. So, you'll make up the points at some point, but, I'm giving everybody a 0 in the grade book because we didn't do it. You can say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. In your syllabus, it says that that's worth 100 points. Either give me the test or give me the point, because that's not fair. And you would have grounds to fight if I took assignments away and did not give you those points. Just as I can't add assignments. So only what's in this syllabus can I say counts towards your final grade. Just as if you come in this class and you stay and you say, I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that assignment. That's not, inspiring to me. Then I can say, okay, well, look, you saw the prenup at the very beginning of the class. You knew what was expected. So that means you're going to fail if you don't do the assignments. So that's how I look at this. This is very important for you to think, is this something that I can do this semester? Am I interested in this type of class? And if it's not, I highly recommend that you drop it. And I'll tell you about the drop deadlines and all that other good stuff. So interpersonal communication, we've already talked about that. Your CRN is not that. I will correct that number, but it is 12185. My phone number is the same. Message me on Canvas. My office hours, I'm going to change, kind of when I can meet with you. All that'll be updated. But this stuff right here, all that information is right on. So this is your Canvas portal. You can go into these different links. That @speech advice is in this discussions tab right here. So let's say that you have a question about, hey, I know Robin said something about the book. All you would do is say into this, hey, what is the book for this class? And then that would be posted to the class. Now, if I have a question like that I want some other students to answer, or I want the teacher to answer, I'm going to post it there. But if I want to say something like, hey, I'm having cramps and I'm not feeling good, that's not where I want to post that information. I want to, put that somewhere else. I want to message the teacher if I really feel like she needs to know that. I want to send the teacher a text message if I feel like she really needs to know that. But I do not need to give personal details that I don't want the class to see if it's in the discussion tab, because other people are going to see it. Make sense? Okay, perfect. So if I go back to that module and to the syllabus, I will see that below that, it gives how to message me. It gives you what the text is for this class and the link to the bookstore on how to get it. It tells you that you're going to need a cute computer. Obviously, all of you are here on some kind of, electronic device. You're going to need some way to video yourself. Obviously, you have that because most of you had your video on, if not all of you. And then this gives you the outcome. So like what you're supposed to leave with when you leave this class. In my opinion, I'm not going to go over that. That's what you need to prove to your friends and family on why you're going to college. But if you do the assignments, that's what you're going to take away. These are the things that we're learning. What you need to know is that class participation is 200 points. That's 2 letter grades. So if you don't do the activities, you don't participate in any of the meetups or do any assignments, you're not going to do well in this class. If you aren't able to come to Zoom on Thursday, as long as you watch the video, you do whatever the assignments are, you're going to be fine. If you show up on Thursdays and you do all of that, you're going to be golden. You're not going to have any problems, I promise you, because you'll be able to ask lots of questions. You'll hear me clarifying some of the lectures. You're going to get what you would have in a live classroom. Now, on top of that, you have 3 tests over the course of the semester. Each one of those is broken down into just the chapters we're talking about at the time. And then once you're done with that test, we talk about new chapters, you're only tested on that information. So nothing is cumulative over the course of the semester. Those are worth 100 points each, and all those tests are taken online. So you'll have time to take them. I'll give you extra time for you to kind of, get your notes in order, make sure that you're able to review the lectures, and everything will be very clear, I promise. I always do a review. That's what kind of like before that test, our Thursday meetup will be a review for the test 1. So you'll always be prepared and know what you need to be studying. You have 3 skill assignments. Those are assignments that are posted to the class. There's a list of different things that you can do. You pick one of those things or more, and you write a one-page paper, typing it and turning it in through Canvas. So for example, it might be meet someone new and talk about, what that experience was like. It might be, reading nonverbal communication and writing about that experience. There's lots of different options that you'll be able to choose from. One of the first assignments you're going to do in here is the identity management collage. And that is going to be an assignment where you'll put together an introduction to yourself through visual imagery. You can either do a poster board, and there are some samples. I don't have one right in my class right now, but there are some samples. No, I'll show you one later. There are some samples that I'll show you, but like for an actual poster board with some images, it has to be at least 10, and it can be personal photographs, or it can be items from magazines or newspapers or online, or you can do a PowerPoint or a Prezi or some type of visual display through an online platform. You'll introduce yourself to us through those images, and you'll record yourself explaining what those images are and then post it to the class. So for example, you might tell us your likes, your dislikes, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your past, your present, your future, any of that stuff. That's what you would add to the class. Now, on top of that, before you do that identity management collage, you're going to meet with me one-on-one and tell me what you're kind of thinking about doing. So in that meeting, you're going to say, here's the images I'm thinking about using. Here's what I'm thinking about saying, and I will give you feedback. It's going to be a one-on-one meeting, just you and me, nobody else, and then you're going to be free to go. We'll do it virtually, obviously, through this platform, but if you want to meet up on campus, we can meet up one-on-one and do it in person. It's totally up to you. Now, at that meeting, I considered an interview. So that is also a time when you're going to bring a resume, turning it in online, and it has to be updated. So for example, if you did one in high school and you haven't listed COS in your education at the very top, that's going to lose points because it's not an updated resume. You want to make sure you're adding whatever it is. If you've worked doing DoorDash for the last 17 months, you got to put that in your jobs as your most recent job. Whatever it is, it's got to be a most recent resume that you're turning in. It has to be typed and turned in. Now, on top of that, after those interviews are done, you're going to move towards that first test, and then we're going to move towards the second section of the semester, which will be another test, another skill assignment, and then you'll do this nonverbal observation paper. So that's where you're going to watch people. You'll have little guinea pigs in your life. You won't tell them that you're watching, and you'll write about kind of what you noticed about nonverbal communication. And then that paper you will turn in through Canvas, one page typed, and you're going to analyze the nonverbal communication that you saw. Again, fairly easy as long as you take the time to do it. It's worth 75 points. So you can't just, give me half a page or just a couple of details. You really want to spend some time watching nonverbal communication, telling me what you looked at, kind of what you noticed, and, turning that in. The final section of so after first test, after the second test, now you're going to be towards the end of the semester. After Thanksgiving, you'll have this relational interview paper. That's a 4-page paper. You're going to interview 2 couples, 2 people in each relationship. Sometimes there's more people than just 2. So that dynamic could play in. And, even in Visalia, I've met swinger groups and papers. I've also seen divorced couples. One student wrote about the fact that her parents were divorced, and she did one paper on her dad and his girlfriend, and then the other paper was about her mom and her husband, and then she also talked about them as a relational couple. So she actually had 3 couples, and but it was still primarily focused on the 2 couples that she interviewed. So really fascinating paper. Some people will interview, their brother and his wife and their grandparents or their parents. Some people will interview a gay relationship and a straight relationship and compare and contrast that. You can do whatever you want. It's totally up to you to kind of decide how you want to analyze the relationships. What I learned in interpersonal is due by the end of the semester. It'll be turned in kind of that final week. And it's really just kind of looking at yourself as a interpersonal communicator. Where were you at the very beginning of the semester? And kind of where do you feel like you are now towards the end of the semester? That paper will be 1 page type, turned in online. And then it'll be an easy paper to turn in before the end of the semester. And then the final paper that you have, we watched 3 different movies in the class. You will have to pay for these movies if you don't have free streaming services, Netflix, there's all kinds of different places. I try to find where they're listed free, but they're not more than $3 or $4 to rent the movie. Most of the time, they're movies that students have not seen and students love because I try to use movies that are kind of avant-garde, but, award-winning films. But because they were from decades before, that way I can make sure that it's not something that you have seen recently unless you've been on a really long Netflix and chill binge, which I know some of you have over these past 17 months. So we'll watch those 3 movies. You'll take a test for each movie. And then at the end of the semester or before, whenever you decide to do your movie paper, you'll write a 1-page paper about a concept we talked about in class that played out in the movie. So for example, in one of the movies, there's a movie that looks at private and presenting self between the characters. And so a guy in the movie shows himself publicly as one way, and then privately you kind of know what his feelings and his fears and his thoughts are. And that's a great example of private and presenting self. And you would talk about the scenes that you saw that and the concept that we were talking about in class that, kind of showed and played that out. Now that's the first movie that we watch. If you decide to turn that paper in early, totally fine. Once that movie happens, you could get that paper out of the way, or you could watch all 3 movies over the course of the semester and write about each one and turn that paper in at the end of the semester. Totally up to you how you do that paper. Any questions about the assignments? I'm going to stop, and I'm actually going to stop talking for a second just to see if there's any questions. I'll never keep you longer than I have to. So I just want to make sure though before I keep moving. Okay, so in this prenup, I'm bringing 1,000 points to the table. This is my bag that I'm offering to you. I look at it as you already have those points. The only way you're going to lose them is if you don't take these tests and you don't do the assignments and you don't participate in the class. If you do all of those things, I guarantee you will do well in this class, if not make an A. So it's up to you to be the active participant, making sure that you're keeping up with Canvas through the portal, checking in for live meetups on Thursday if you have the ability to do so, making sure that you're thinking about the writing of those assignments and that they're in a professional manner. So for example, you're not just turning in Twitter speak to me. By the way, is spelled BETWEEN, not BTW. So make sure that you're taking your time and proofreading things before you turn it into the class. Make sure that you're looking at the class rules. Know that if you need any assistance through the access and abilities, I'm more than willing to support and help you with that. And these dates are also going to change as well, because when I upload the syllabus, it's going to show you that the final day to add the class is the 22nd, which is next week. The final day to drop without a W is going to be the 22nd of August, not the 22nd, the 29th of August. And that means that if you decide before the 29th that you don't want any evidence of our relationship, then you need to drop by the 29th. If you don't, then after that date, if you drop before October, I think it's the 22nd, then that means there's going to be a W on your transcript, and you don't want too many of those. So you want to make sure that you decide fairly quickly whether or not you're staying in the class or you're going to drop it. Okay, I see there's a question in the chat. Let me see what that, will the test be based on the book or more on the lectures? More on the lectures, although there are a couple of questions from the text, but I'll always tell you what those are. So, if you're checking in and listening, you're going to be able to, know even if you haven't read the text. Okay. All right. So now that we've talked about all of that, what I do want to tell you is that after today, by sometime tomorrow, we will be in a situation where I'll update the syllabus, I'll update the class calendar, and you're going to see how the class works based on the dates. The one that I have in right now shows you kind of what it was like in the spring, just so you can get an idea of how I advertise the dates in the class and how I tell you each week what's happening. All of this information right here is going to have your dates and everything by the end of this week. And then you'll be able to know exactly when your tests are, exactly when your papers are due, and exactly this Zoom information will not change. So all of that will be the same. Okay. Any questions based on anything that I have said? Nope. Okay, perfect. So the other thing that I want to tell you is if you look at this module right here, so for example, this week 3 participation assignment, I'm going to click on it. This week 2 participation assignment tells you what you're supposed to be doing and turning in. In the announcements, I will also tell you kind of how to know the lecture. So you'll be able to watch my live lecture that is posted to the class. So make sure that before you start diving into the assignments, that you are watching the lectures, or the assignments are not going to make any sense. And it'll say week 1 lesson, and then it'll say week 1 reading, and then go into these participation assignments and these other activities that are due. Okay. But again, you can't see that right now because in student view, you only can see week 1. Does that make sense? That'll all be next week. Okay, so I'm going to stop screen share, and I'm going to do this one more time and take a photo of who is here at the end. And I want to ask one more time if there's any questions. No? Okay, so again, if you see what's uploaded tomorrow or Friday and you still have questions, don't hesitate to message me. Know that by the end of this week, your Canvas is going to be totally updated, and you have 2 assignments to do. That's your week introduction that is already up and live that you need to do by tonight at midnight. Then you need to comment on 2 other people by Friday at midnight. And then you want to do your student information sheet by Sunday night and submit that. And it'll all be live by tomorrow. So make sure that you're looking for that. Then on Monday of next week, you just want to check what that announcement says. It'll be up by 5 o'clock on Monday. And then that'll tell you how to do the week ahead. If you have any questions, you can email me, message me, call me, whatever, or you can meet me in this Zoom on Thursday of next week, okay? The student information sheet will be uploaded tomorrow by half day tomorrow. So Leticia, you can't find it just yet because I haven't uploaded it to the class yet, but I will upload it later today or tomorrow morning. I want you to focus on your intro first, okay? Intro to the class. The student intro is really just for me to make sure that I have that information for the campus, the college campus. Okay, so just to give you a quick introduction of myself, my name is Robin. You have my phone number, you have my email. I studied communication my entire life. I went to a small Baptist college in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I left Mississippi because I was a young lesbian woman wanting to get out of the deep South. Yes, that means that I am married to a woman. I have 2 children, an 18-year-old son, Sebastian, and a 15-year-old daughter, Jackson. And we were legally married on the first day that we were able to do that. That doesn't mean that we're going to talk about gay and lesbian stuff, or trans stuff, or bi stuff in this classroom a whole lot. So if you don't agree with that lifestyle, totally fine. If you don't feel like you'll feel comfortable in the class, the exit or end button is right to your right. You can drop the class. It was nice to meet you. Have a nice life. But you will not have to march with the pride flag or join a pride parade before the end of the semester. All that I need you to know is that I'm going to talk about my relationship in reference to examples. And I don't want you to be shocked or surprised if you hear any of that information. Also, if you do a quick Google, you'll learn really quickly that I've done activism, fighting for full equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people to serve in the military, to be married to the person that they love, and to not get fired for that love. So I've been arrested a couple of times. That you could find out if you did any type of Google search, and I don't want to be any awkward situations. Now, I say all that to say that I truly believe that human communication is important. If we're not honest with each other and trying to work things out, we can agree to disagree, but we've got to learn how to manage through whatever the conflict is or the thoughts or feelings are. Again, in this class, we're talking about relationships, so human communication. On top of that, it's going to be a very active class with papers that you're writing. None of the stuff that you write will be offered to the class. So if you want to self-disclose things that you don't want other people to see, just don't put it in the discussions tab. Sometimes students will talk about past relationships that are problematic, or family dynamics that are problematic. I won't be sharing that with any of the class. It'll only be between you and I. Now, based on that, my 3 favorite hobbies: I love to eat, I love to travel because I love new food, and I love spending time with my family, preferably near water because I love going anywhere where water is. I'm available 5 hours, 2 physically on campus and 3 will be online. I will tell you what those office hours are as we get further into this week. And then you also need to know that any concerns that you have, I want to hear them. Like if you're worried about the book, if you don't know how to work your computer, you need extra test taking time, anything that you're wanting to learn about interpersonal. So like you want to learn how to meet people, you want to learn how to break up with someone. What is it that you're interested in learning about relationships? And that's what this class will be really engaged in and talking about for the rest of the semester. Other than that, this class is very straightforward. I find that a lot of students, they find that this class is their favorite one that they take, mainly because it feels like you're learning more about yourself and not just learning about a subject. And so if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Any final questions? Okay. It was very nice to meet you. I hope you have a great rest of the week and a good weekend. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I will upload this video to the class later on today. Bye.